Good evening. This is Eswatini TV News at 8, read to you by myself, Natalie Tole, alongside Zamanzi Manze. First up, let's have a look at our top stories. The newly proposed Residential Tenancies Bill of 2021 will help in harmonizing relationships between landlords and tenants in Eswatini. A pilot died on the spot following a plane crash at Mhlambanyati. The director in the Ministry of ICT says the media plays a crucial role in the country's socio-economic development. And now our bulletin in detail. The proposed Residential Tenancies Bill of 2021 will help harmonize relationship between landowners and tenants in the country. This has been said by the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, Clifford Mamba, during a stakeholders workshop on the Residential Tenancies Bill held at the Royal Villa.
On Tuesday, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development held a second stakeholder workshop on the proposed Residential Tenancies Bill of 2021. Principal Secretary in the Ministry, Clifford Mamba, says the bill seeks to improve and harmonize the relationship between landowners and tenants.
We found that the Resident Tenancies Bill is an important bill that is still outstanding in our legislation, which seeks to assist and regulate how landlords and tenants behave towards each other and how they relate towards each other. We have seen over the years and heard over the years that there are difficulties that emerge of the continued partnerships in the way that they do. And so we felt as a ministry that we should have such a bill that will seek to regulate how these two entities relate to each other, ostensibly to encourage harmonious coexistence between the two parties.
Director of Housing and Human Settlements, Bekthamba Matsebula, led down the country's lead tenor.
There's what we call crown or government land, which is land that belongs to government, which is held by government land, hence it is government land. There is what we call privately owned land parcels, which we find throughout the country. It's just an individual ownership. An individual ownership can be just yourself as an individual, or you may find that as an organization, because even an organization or a company, you can have that right as an organization or company to own a land parcel. Then we also have what we call concession land.
Eswatini Realtors Association's representative Mosanhleko says this bill will help address some of the existing issues between landowners and tenants.
We have had issues in the past where landlords have issues with tenants and matters end up in court. Now, with this proposed bill, you see cases of these matters being referred to a tribunal where it won't be costly for either the landlord or the tenant.
The bill will be presented by the Minister for Housing and Urban Development once passed. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samgal Suekoza with Vumikosin Senesa Sulwini.
A helicopter pilot died on the spot following a plane crash earlier this morning at Montigny in Mhlambanyati. The Namibian registered plane was en route to Johannesburg.
A helicopter crash resulted in the pilot dying on the spot around 8 a.m. in the morning on Tuesday, which crashed on the Montigny forest at Mhlambanyati. The police and the fire personnel responded promptly to the accident. The pilot was bent beyond recognition, but his identity was revealed. The Chief Police Information and Communications Officer, Superintendent Pinderi Vilagati, says they are still conducting the investigations on the cause of the accident or the plane crash.
Ukuthi khona indiza lekusolisa kuseyiwile la emahlathini saphuthuma ke nabo beticimamlilo vele baba beqala kufika kulena ndzawo kwacinywa ke ngoba beseyivele isha lokutfolakele ke ukuthi umshayeli bekayedvana endizeni sesinayo konemininingwane ukuthi kusolisa ukuthi kungahle kube ngibani kepha sachubeka ke liphenyo ngabe ibangelwe yini batawuta ke labo labocwephesha bekuhlola dona tindiza ukuthi ingodi ngabe ibangwe yini neliphenyo ke lokuthi ingabe vele ugcina ashiya emhlabeni ngakweni kusha noma ulimele ngakokuwa nina esaya wagcina ashiye emhlabeni kanjalo. Satawuchubeka nokusebenza.
Kumbe kuyala sive madam siyathi kusina kwendeke into lenje sive baye bese sebayanyenya bafuna kumbe lokho lokusele khona lapha le bangakhona ukuphila ke kungathi nje kuyala sive kuyo lena crime scene.
Lesingakusho nje ukuthi yonke isini inetingoti tayo. Umuntu angacwayisa sive ukuthi asicaphele vele ungabe sekutholakala souyadithathela tindvo. Kungaba kahle ukuthi uthathise kulabo labafanele noma labo banikati kube ngibo labangakupha locabanga ukuthi kungakusida uma ngabe kukhona. Siyacela nje ukuthi kuyo yonke isini noma ngabe kusemgwaqweni noma ngabe ngikuphi na kwendeke ingoti abantu abangabonakala sebatithathela tindvo ngoba letinye tato vele tingadala yona ingoti.
She also warned members of the public against taking advantage of such situations and collecting possessions of the deceased. It is said the plane was en route Johannesburg and the pilot was alone. Montigny's Sihle Mavuzo said the helicopter wasn't theirs but for that of an individual. Iswaka also said the route of the plane was known to them from Eswatini to Johannesburg. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MC Wilson Tomlangeni, Mhlambanyatsi.
The Director of Information and Media Development in the Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology, Pesheya Dube, says the media plays a vital role in the country's socio-economic development. Dube has been speaking in commemoration of the Global Media and Information Literacy Week, which started on Monday.
Global Media and Information Literacy Week, commemorated annually, is a major occasion for stakeholders to review and celebrate the progress achieved towards media and information literacy for all by member states under the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. At the Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology, Pesheya Dube, says the media plays a vital role in information dissemination and on the country's socio-economic development.
Lobumqoba buqhamuka lapha ekutheneni nasibuke emuva lapha ku-article 19 human rights declaration of human rights so silamandla imedia iwathatha lapha ngoba from there information is classified uqala lapha noma ufike constitution yethu ke article 24 wale constitution nayo khuluma about freedom of expression. Now then media becomes the conduit yale information. Look so ukuthi ngibona ama disseminators information to the public. So imqoka ke ngaleyo ndlela imedia esiven. Utawati ke ukuthi knowledge is power basho njalo labasade kosingisi nekwekuthi you need knowledge to make informed decisions. Now umla kumqoka khona ke then media comes in ngoba bona irole yabo is to inform, educate and entertain. Now during lesikhathi nabendela ama functions lawo ba capacitate us ngetinto letehlukene. So without the media kungaba deliver, without the media sive singete sathuthuka ngale tinhlangothi letehlukene lesi badisho sithi socio economic and political development yesive depends on how much information you have noma ke wati kangakanani. So bomqoka bale media ke ngilobo and kumqoka kana lokuthi celebrate lelanga leli njengoba li celebrate cishe umhlaba wonke ukuze sikhumbule sibuke emuva nabomqoka banayi function naye in any form of governance lofika kuyo noma ke any form or system of governance lekhona eveni noma lekhona kude politiki noma lekhona kude temnotho noma lekhona nje empilweni yemuntu. So it's so important. The role of media is very, very, very much important.
This year, the week is themed Media and Information Literacy for the Public Good, which speaks to the need to equip every individual with media and information literacy skills. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samka Suekoza with Linda Dlamini Babane.
The country is experiencing an increase in cases of malaria. According to the National Malaria Programs Officer, Kapsile Nhlengetwa, the country recorded about 160 cases from the month of July up to October.
Kapsile Nhlengetwa says despite this report, Eswatini can practice precautionary measures that can ensure that the Anopheles mosquito does not breed in their yard.
we are seeing quite heavy rains in most places in the country, and that means that the mosquito that causes malaria is likely to breed and start transmitting the disease. So we would like to encourage Eswatini to take the necessary precautions to ensure that they do not get bitten by the mosquito that causes malaria, or if they are bitten and they suspect that they have malaria, they must seek treatment as early as possible. We normally encourage Eswatini to seek treatment within the first 24 hours when they feel any malaria symptoms. That is maybe the fever, the chills, the nausea, the vomiting, the joint pains, the body weaknesses, the dizziness or abdominal pains. I think our dear listener will note that some of the symptoms actually overlap with COVID-19 symptoms, hence the need to seek treatment as early as possible to make sure that you get diagnosed and get treated for whatever. If it's malaria, you get treated for malaria. If it's COVID, you start treatment for COVID. So the ministry is currently conducting indoor residual spraying. We normally call it spraying in the Ho and the Lubombo regions where we normally see a lot of malaria cases. So this week we are at Sihoye and Jageni. We just finished Mayuane. And next week we'll be spraying in Pofu, Tabangulu and Dabine Zimbisi. I think it is worth noting that we are seeing quite a number of cases for the season. We are already around 160. And I think it's worth encouraging Eswatini to take the necessary precautions. That is the acceptance of the IRS in the areas where we come and request to spray. So what we normally request is that we spray all the houses in the household, and we normally ask that Eswatini give us water so that we mix with the chemical, and then we are able to spray. And then for environmental management measures, we request that our fellow citizens keep their home surroundings clean so that the mosquito will not find a place where it can breed and lay the eggs. And then that results in chances of infection getting high in the home. And then we also encourage them to close windows as early as possible before the sun sets, because the mosquito that causes malaria is active in the evening and early morning. So the earlier you close your windows, in addition to allowing spraying if you are in an area that will be sprayed. And then we also encourage our Eswatini to take prophylaxis if they have to travel to areas that have malaria. So that is available in any nearby facility to wherever you are. So you go get this 2 weeks before you travel, so that you start taking it before you travel, and by the time you travel it's already. Then the issues of waste disposal and management, if ever there's waste that is able to collect rainwater, that we ask Eswatini to collect them and dispose them well. And also the issue of rainwater collection at home. Whenever they are harvesting, it's cold water harvesting actually. So we encourage Eswatini to close the containers when they've harvested the water, or else they put them in other containers in the houses and do not leave them open for weeks and weeks, because then they encourage the breeding of mosquitoes and actually encourage being bitten by the mosquito that might cause malaria. So we are seeing quite a number of cases, and females, actually females, are more presenting with malaria, more cases of malaria in facilities. So we actually encourage our female Eswatini to watch out for the symptoms, and then if they feel even a single one of them, we do not want them to stay for long and think maybe it's umkhuhlane, to go visit the nearest health facility and get treated for malaria, or if ever it's anything else, get diagnosed and treated. And we are seeing quite a number of cases in the Lubombo and Oho region. Madlang MPC is the highest, Lukongolweni, Stobela, Ntonjeni, Hlane, Mhlume and Lomangasha. We are seeing quite a number of cases, and I think those are the ones that are resulting to the high number that we already have.
The Ministry of Health is working to and Lubombo region as malaria is most prevalent in some areas. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangen with Giani Msibi in Babani.
The Eswatini Action Group Against Abuse, in collaboration with UNICEF, is working towards improving proper service for phone-based contact by training the organization's case counselors. According to SWAGA's project officer Ndomgai Senyoni, their clients use phone-based contacts due to the civil unrest and the COVID-19 pandemic. The trainings were conducted at Mhlambanyati.
The COVID-19 pandemic and the civil unrest has brought different limitations, especially for people who need to report issues of abuse. According to SWAGA's project manager, Ndombigai Senyoni, the organization introduced phone-based services. Nyoni says people who call in and those who walk in need to receive proper service.
Previously, the approach that the organization would use is that would go to the homesteads to provide services, and people would also walk into our offices to access the different range of post-abuse care services. But with the current political unrest as well as the COVID-19 pandemic, you find that there are limitations in regard to access to service. So what we are doing as an organization is building capacity for our key responders, the case management officers, counselors and caseworkers, so that they are able to provide excellent service via phone. As an organization, we have a toll-free line, 951, which is accessible via the MTN network, Swazi Mobile as well as landline. So we want to ensure that when people are calling SWAGA through the toll-free line, our team is fully equipped and has all the knowledge and skills to ensure that people are accessing the necessary service. But we also just want to use the opportunity to refresh the team in regard to caring for our clients, ensuring that even outside of the phone-based context where they are continuing to give access at face-to-face value, they are removing any kind of barrier and ensuring that they are providing comprehensive service. So it's working as a refresher, but also it's to ensure that their capacity is at a high level in ensuring that people access service via our toll-free lines.
Nyoni stated that Eswatini can be able to send a short message, SMS, to 8500 to report abuse. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangen with Giani Msibi in Mhlambanyati.
Rains that were received over the past few days made a difference in the country's water levels in dams. The water engineer in the Ministry of Natural Resources, Bongegile Matsebula, says if the rains continue, the dams will overflow.
Ongoing rains have resulted in dams rising above 80% of capacity due to the ongoing rains in the country, with some almost spilling over. Lupotlo Dam is far from being to capacity. The dam is also used by the Eswatini Electricity Company to generate electricity. The water engineer in the Department of Water Affairs, Bongegile Matsebula, explains more.
At the current, Mjoli Dam is standing at 91%, Lubovanet Dam is standing at 93%, and then Makoka Dam is at 82%. Those are the major dams. And then our small dams, Hawane and Lupotlo. Hawane is at 65% and then Lupotlo is at 37% at the moment. But we had good storage levels on our major dams, looking that we are at the beginning of the rainy season. So we are looking at having good storage right now up until the end of the year.
She also made a comparison from earlier this year till now.
December, January, some of the dams were at a bit low, below 40%. That was Mjoli and Makuka, while Lubovan was still at around 90%. But we had cyclone areas at the beginning of the year, that was January, and we received good rains from there. We had our dams full and spilling between January to February. Between February to July, and then they are starting to a little bit decrease, but it's not significant. So we can say that our dams are at good storage, and we are looking forward to have good rains even in the near few months to come.
The Water Affairs Department will be updating the nation while ensuring the construction of reservoirs. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MC with Santomlangani, Mbabane.
Speech therapists in the Ministry of Health encourage parents to be on the outlook of signs of stuttering amongst their children from an early age. Speech therapist at the Mbabane Government Hospital, Zinhle Maphalala, says the rate of stammering or stuttering children decreased recently.
Annually on the 22nd of October, the world commemorates the World Stuttering Awareness Day, which affects at least 1% of the world's population. Stuttering can be corrected when discovered at an early age. It is said shyness can make stutters to speak less. Zinhle Maphalala, a speech therapist, says a speech therapist can help a parent learn to correct. She says oftentimes parents are unaware of the symptoms of stuttering in children until late in their ages.
Assessment. So lapho siya-assessa ukuthi kuletinto leting-4 langahle attend in the time of stuttering when dadingakhi yena. So maybe 3 out of 4 noma 4 out of 4 bese sibuka ukuthi kwentekani nakafunde amagama noma nakufuna akhulume ndikwebantfu noma nakakhuluma ecingweni, for example. And then nase sibuke ukuthi when noma ngilama repetitions or uprolonga leli gama noma vele liba uba nema blocks la liba stuck in his throat or her throat nakakhuluma bachaza kanjalo bona. Then we teach lo mntwana ukuthi okay funa njani nasifuna ukhulume, we need to focus ukuthi i-rate of speech yakho ihamba kanjani, i-breathing yakho ikanjani, ukuthi lo mtimba wakho nawo ukanjani. Ngoba the moment you have the relaxed body, the tension iyehla la mtimbeni. Kakhulu ekhaya, ngoba maybe i-session will be 30 minutes, 40 minutes, but umntwana bese simniketa lama strategies, simnikete nema ideas ukuthi ekhaya funa kwenteke njani. But more than anything, lesichaza ukuthi what is important is to listen to what the child is saying rather than ukuthi ukukhuluma kanjani. And we don't want to apply negative labels to the stuttering because it's just a different way of speaking. Akusiko ukuthi so ne disorder lenkulu kangaka. We try to explain imchazele nemntali ukuthi yinto leyendekako. Umntali nje lobona ngazuthi noma lova ngazuthi kunenkinga lekhona ngekukhuluma kwembani. Ngoba yena vele umntali angeke akwadi kahle kahle ukuthi kuyini, but lelanga nje the day evangazuthi ngathi kunenkinga la akasukume nje masinyane ayesibhedlela stokhona bese sesisheshe siyamsida. The early intervention niyo lele bamgcoka.
Stuttering can be caused by family history in stuttering, family dynamics, neurophysiology, and development during childhood. Ways to reduce a stutter include speaking more slowly and practicing mindfulness, and also praising their efforts and be patient to allow stutters to finish on their own. This year's theme is Speak the Change You Want to See. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MC with Sontomlang and some visuals sourced from the internet.
And now we'll have a look at our financial markets.
Standard Bank. It can be.
Good evening once again. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Let's have a look at our sports news. Eswatini Sports and Recreation Council Public Relations Officer Dumsandiwane says the council will spend over 1 million emalangeni in preparation for the upcoming Region 5 Youth Games to be held in Maseru in the Kingdom of Lesotho in December this year.
Lesotho as a country will be hosting this year's Region 5 Youth Games in December. The Kingdom of Eswatini is expected to have representatives from different sporting codes that will be taking part of the games. According to Eswatini Sports and Recreation Council Public Relations Officer Dumsandiwane, the council will spend over 1 million emarangeni in preparations for the games.
I may not be privy to the exact figures for now, but I can safely say we'll be spending over 1 million rand for these games because there are a lot of expenses involved here. Such expenses may include things like the team uniform, it may include things like allowances, it may include subscriptions as well, because as a member country for Region 5, we are also required to pay subscriptions for us to retain our membership as a country.
The associations to represent the country include swimming, boxing, athletics, taekwondo, volleyball, and football association. The games begin on the 3rd to the 13th of December in Lesotho's capital city, Maseru. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera with Linda Dlamini, Babane.
Women national team Sithebe Samhlegazi have crashed out of the Women Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers after a 6-1 aggregate against Zimbabwe. The inaugural Women AFCON tournament will be held in Morocco next July.
Women national team Sithebe Samhlegazi crashed out of the Women Africa 3-0 in their second leg of the qualifiers against Zimbabwe. Having lost 3-1 in their first round, it meant Sithebe had lost 6-1 on both aggregates. Team head coach Dumisani Makanya mentioned that even though it was a tough game, her players showed character.
The whole 90 minutes they were fighting.
Zimbabwean coach Sitetelelwe for the performance as they progress to the next stage of the qualifiers.
At the end of the day also, it's well done to the players. It's always difficult also to play away.
The Women Africa Cup of Nations finals will be held in Morocco next year from the 2nd of July to the 23rd. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Babane.
Royal Leopard will do battle against Algerian side Yas Kabylie Football Club in their first CAF Confederations Cup encounter. This follows their exit in the CAF Champions League last weekend after their defeat against Sagrada Esperança from Angola. Speaking to the sports desk in a telephonic interview, Leopard head coach Edwin Matsebula said it will be a tough game indeed. Nonetheless, they will use the upcoming MTN Premier League games to prepare for the game. The game between the two teams will be played next month with Royal Leopard hosting the first leg. Okay, that's all for now. Before we conclude, let's have a look at our top stories. The newly proposed Residential Tenancies Bill of 2021 will help in harmonizing relationships between landlords and tenants in Eswatini. A pilot died on the spot following a plane crash at Mhlambanyati. The director in the Ministry of ICT says the media plays a crucial role in the country's socio-economic development. And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update. From myself and the team, thank you for your company. Good night.